Welcome to episode 9 of the Potent Podcast. Jay here with Trills. Trills, what's up, buddy?
What's going on, bro?
Not much. For everybody, if you noticed that we didn't put out anything last week, it's in response to everything that's going on in the country right now. I'll be honest with you, Trills. I'm not certain how you all the way feel with it because we spoke, really quickly about whether we should do one.
Yeah.
I was not in the mood to create any sort of new content or anything like that and carry on in any way that had nothing to do. Like it all normal content has felt weird even right now.
Yeah.
Even posting a tweet that has nothing to do with what's going on in the country right now, maybe even posting a meme, laughing at a video. I post it, but I feel weird about it.
Yeah.
I don't feel good even right now. There's just so much going on, so much to discuss. We don't want to keep the whole episode on this topic, but I do want to talk about this a lot because I feel like we have our own platform. We created this,
Yeah.
you and and I feel it's our responsibility to make sure, people can assume we feel the way that we feel, but I want to make sure that we go on record, let everybody know exactly how we feel. I have a lot to say. I've done a lot of self-reflecting. I've done a lot of my own research. I've done a lot of crying. I've done a lot of just things that I never would have thought of in different ways. And this is opened my eyes to certain things. I want to touch on all of that. I also clearly want to get your take as you've been out protesting. You've always been on the side of all of this, even when it wasn't popular, or popular meaning that people are jumping in now.
Right.
Like you've seen the trash people jumping in on this as their opportunity to fucking rack up likes, and that's disgusting to me. Like I couldn't imagine being that type of person.
Yeah.
But I have a lot to say. I'm not, I don't want to put a cap on the conversation because I don't want to just say, okay, now we're done with this. We do have some music stuff to talk about. There was some in the midst of all of this that's going on. There has been some amazing releases, which also coincide with some of the things that's going on as well too. So I'd love to talk about that as well too. But I would be remiss in my duty to not discuss this at a length that like we put no cap on it, and we need to make sure that we get everything out there. So
Right.
you know we ran the last episode, and George Floyd had just passed away, right? He was just
Yeah.
murdered by that cop.
Yeah.
We didn't mention it then. I kind of, after I listened to it, I kind of myself was like, wait a minute, like we missed our opportunity right there. And that's sort of what made me, okay, now we need to pull it back. Now I need to really think about why is it that we glossed over that.
Yeah.
So I just want to get some of your thoughts and some of the things that you've been doing, and some of the things that you've been thinking about, and some of the stuff that's been going on. I also want to make it clear that I haven't taken a sip of alcohol or anything like that yet. Once we pass this heavy part, I just want to make sure that I'm clear, lucid. I want to make
Mhm.
sure that my thought process is clear and I don't miss anything.
Right.
But I wanted to get some of your thoughts on what's going on in the country right now.
Um, it's interesting that you bring that up, that we missed the opportunity to mention that. And it's crazy because we, the two of us, had already spoken about Ahmad, right? And I guess it happens all too often that these we get this occurring so much that, like, as another person comes along, you kind of just I don't know if it's subconsciously that we don't want to keep talking about it, or if it's something that's done purposely. But yeah, you're right. We have to check that. We have to, like, ask ourselves why we're getting so used to it that we don't mention it every single chance we get. And I think a lot of people finally have come to that, and they're realizing that, yeah, this is like the third time in the matter of a month, and we can't just keep letting them go on and on and on without making as big of a fuss about it as we possibly can. So I'm glad you brought that up because.
And it also kind of leads me into another point because I'm glad that you said it. I wasn't certain how I would broach the same sort of point that you were just making, because I do feel, and this is part of my self-reflection, this is all part of things that I had to think about. I do feel that I was numb to it.
Mm-hmm.
I was horrified.
Mm-hmm.
But I also was like, oh my God, that's terrible. And then in the back of my mind, it's like, nothing's going to happen to these cops.
Right.
You know, everything's just going to go on as the status quo. And in my own self-reflection, it's like, okay, well, why are you moving on yourself? Like, why are you
Right.
looking at that and saying, you know, oh, I've seen this. I've seen it plenty of times.
Mm-hmm.
You know, basically what we witnessed was a lynching.
Yeah.
And to look at it, be horrified, hear this man call out for his dead mother, and then to say, oh my God, that's terrible. Okay, boom, what's next? That's part of the self-reflection that I had to go through. I'm ashamed myself that I've been so desensitized to seeing this, because you have to also remember our age group, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I'm 35. We're near the same age, right?
Yeah.
I've witnessed on video police brutality since 1991.
Yep.
Rodney King was beaten on tape. And remember, it wasn't smartphones. Someone who, it wasn't as common as having a smartphone, had a camcorder. And if they didn't have that camcorder, would we have even, we would have just heard maybe you know, a rumbling of it. We would have never seen the video, would have never been in our face. Now the cops, nothing happened to the cops. But we wouldn't have been aware. People wouldn't have been outraged and felt the need to protest. So we've been witnessing this since 1991.
Yeah.
I did, like, again, I didn't know how to put these feelings into words, like how you said about looking at it, seeing it, being horrified, and then, all right, you know, like, nothing's gonna happen to these cops. You know, another family has someone torn away from them. And I had to turn that into myself and look at myself and say, well, why aren't you as outraged? Why aren't you, you know, trying to push the envelope to make sure that something happens to these people, to these cops? And that's all part of this time. That's why I needed time off. I really did, honestly. When I started to think about things, and I just, you know, you sit alone in a room, you detach from looking at all the videos that are pouring in now, right? This is all stuff that we knew was happening, but it's much different when you're seeing it tweet after tweet after tweet in different parts of the country. Buffalo, Minneapolis, Texas, Florida, California, everywhere. And that's when, like, you know, I watch it so much that it brings tears to my eyes. And I also, and don't be ashamed of admitting this, you also need to take a break from it for a little, for your own mental. It can't be all or nothing. It has to be a lot, but it can't be all. You need to do something to keep your mental peace, because seeing these horrible videos and these horrible images, it will shake your mental health. And yeah, that's just part, like, I'm glad that you brought that up, because I had those feelings myself of like, why am I just accepting this? Why did I just move on from it when that's not at all what we should be doing? Part of my self-reflection also, and I don't want to make this all about me. It's just like I'm starting to think about things, and I want to bring something up with you that I've been involved with you. Part of my self-reflection also has to address my own privilege. I'm a Puerto Rican man. My mother's Puerto Rican. My father's Puerto Rican. We are this skin color. This skin color affords me things that it does not afford Black people or people who are darker than me. Let me give you examples.
Or Puerto Ricans darker.
Or Puerto Ricans darker, exactly. Or any person. Any person. Let me give you some examples. I don't know this for certain, but I know that there's been a time since I've been working since I'm 18 years old. That's 17 years in the workforce. I know for a fact that I've gone in for an interview, sat there, spoke well, You know, there's another gentleman who comes in or another woman who comes in who's black, darker than me, probably just as qualified, but didn't get the job. I did.
Mm-hmm.
I want to talk about a specific incident with you because I don't know what it's like to be black during a traffic stop, right? People joke around and have joked around for years with me. Oh, if the cops come, you talk to them because you're white. That's a joke, but it's not a joke. That's very serious and that's very real. So, you probably know what I'm going to talk about. You and I and someone else of color were involved in a traffic stop.
Mm-hmm.
We're involved in a traffic stop in Philly, and not good Philly.
Yeah.
Right? So, if you remember the circumstances, we were down there for a show. We got there early because, hey, you know, we'll drive down to Philly, we'll enjoy the day. It's the summertime, and then we'll have our show, and we live close enough to Philly that was possible.
Right.
Myself and the other person, I'm not gonna put them out there, with their name. You were there, and you don't smoke weed. You don't. I do. And the other person were looking for a place for us to smoke in one of the worst neighborhoods I've seen in Philly, driving around, right?
Yeah.
In New Jersey plates. We get pulled over. We have weed on us, right? The time is not decriminalized. Even if we get caught with that little bit, they can run up whatever it is that they want to run up on us. You're in the back seat. The other person is next to me.
Mm-hmm.
The cop comes up, doesn't ask for the license and registration, right?
Right.
Walks up, says, what are you guys doing? Me, just trying to be calm and everything. Again, I don't know what it's like to be black, to have the cops right behind you and not know if this traffic stop is going to be the last time that you take a breath. I don't know what that's like. I tell the gentleman, hey, we're down here. We have a show. We're taking in the sights. Maybe that wasn't the best thing to say. He's like, the sights? Like, do you know where you're at?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I know. I'm like, but we're just moving through, The gentleman's like, oh, so you guys make music? I'm like, yeah. I'm P. Parker. This is this person. I was like, that's Trills. He says, okay. He's like, all right, cool, go. Do you suspect that would have went a complete different way if one of you two were actually driving that car? Or if it was all three of us that were black?
For sure.
I think about that now in self-reflection and thinking about times when things like that, you can gloss over it because how many years ago was that, right? Like you can just say, this is what happened, fine, but in reality, that's white privilege. That's white privilege that I have. And until the people that have the privilege are as outraged as the people that are being oppressed, we're never going to get anything changed. Black people have been yelling for centuries.
Yeah.
It will not change until we join and they see us.
Mm-hmm.
They see us doing more. They see us standing side by side. Mm-hmm. It's not just enough to do that. I want to get your thoughts on that traffic stop and if I've missed the mark at any point on any of this.
No, I mean, it changes. It changes, and it certainly changed that traffic stop. And I won't lie and tell you that I didn't feel a little more at ease that you were the driver. It's just something you recognize, and it's such a normal, quick thought for us that it goes by as nothing. Like, in that moment, you don't look at it and think that, why the fuck would I think that way, or why would I feel that way, or why do I have this relief knowing it's not us driving? It happens so often, and not only to actual people, but it happens in film. Everything we have ever seen has told us that that's normalcy. And even if it's turned into comedy, which, pain, it makes the best comedy. But that's our culture. That's American culture. So it really takes extreme circumstances to sit and run everything back in your head and be like, wow, it's sick that that's our truth, but it's even more sick that we don't think of it as
anything crazy. We just accept it.
right.
You know, like, oh, I got an interview today. Are you gonna get it? You're white. That's a joke that's been thrown to me. You
Mm-hmm.
know, people in the room, whether it's people of color at all, they all laugh at it. You know
Yeah.
why? Because it's true.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that you brought up film because I'm one of the lucky people. I'll be honest with you. I'm one of the lucky people. My parents educated me to what's really going on because the real issue here with a lot of the people is what is taught in schools.
Mm-hmm.
What's taught in schools is slavery was bad. Abraham Lincoln freed them. Everything was cool. It got bad again. Martin Luther King walked, and now racism's over. That's what the fuck they teach you in school. Okay?
Yeah.
I was never taught that at home. I would take your stupid test. I would answer your stupid questions the way that you would want. But my were always, this is before the internet, before the wealth of information that is at our fingertips, and all you have to do is Google. My parents, and both of them, did things that a lot of people don't do, which is read.
Mm-hmm.
My father read the autobiography of Malcolm X. My father gave me a book called The People's History of the United States. When I found out that Abraham Lincoln was a Republican who only switched sides to abolish slavery when he realized that it could be used for his own political gain. I'll take it a step further. I got so wrapped up in being a rebel when I was older in high school. They asked us to write a Christopher Columbus paper. Sure, I'll write your Christopher Columbus paper. I wrote the real fucking story and almost got suspended from school for it. Miss me with all this misinformation that everybody's been giving you in these schools, bro. They brought me into the office. They called my mom. They said, hey, we're going to suspend your son. My mom said, you will not suspend my son. Again, white privilege, right? We walk right in. We get to say what we want. They threaten us with a suspension. My mom walks right in and she's like, you're going back to class. Get up out of the room. How many people have that option to say things like that? How many people have that option to brazenly speak to that type of authority like that, right? But also, you know, we watch movies. Perfect example, Do the Right Thing.
Mm-hmm.
Spike Lee is one of my favorite directors. I'm not piling this on because of what's going on right now. I really do not want this to come off disingenuous or as me being, what's the word? Not condescending. I guess it's
No one will think that though. I mean,
just in case, because you know now everybody wants to talk like, you know, oh, I've been about it, this, and you know, like I'm not gonna say that I've been about it, but I've been aware.
mm-hmm.
Do the Right Thing. Obviously, the end obviously ends with Radio Raheem being killed by a cop and the neighborhood having enough and burning down Sal's Pizza.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a powerful moment, right? That's something that, you know, almost all of Spike Lee's movies at the end, even Black Klansman, which was supposed to be sort of comedy, at the end, leaves you hurt at the end. Leaves you hurt because he doesn't want the message to go over your head. The thing that I want to point out and Do the Right Thing, and this is going to tie into the next point that I have about the people that you are surrounded with and how you need to hold everybody accountable.
Right.
There's a scene where John Turturro is talking with Spike Lee. And John Turturro is the most blatant racist one of the three, right?
Yeah.
The brother, who is a little bit slower, befriends Spike Lee. Danny Aiello is kind of straddling the fence to where I have a business. These are my clientele. I do not want to, piss them off. So he never really picks a side in the movie. You could say that he's not racist or he's not a bad guy or anything like that. You could probably say the other way. It's up to you to decide, I think.
Right.
And there's a lot of people in this country that aren't racist but won't do anything when it's time to do something. And that's an issue. And we'll get to that too. There's a lot to talk about with that too. But there's a scene where Spike Lee says, who's your favorite artist? Prince. Who's your favorite basketball player? Magic Johnson. Who's your favorite comedian? Eddie Murphy. He goes, all I hear you say is N-word this, N-word that, and all of your favorite people are black people. And John Turturro says out of his mouth, they're not black. It's different.
Yep.
I saw a meme, and it was very impactful for me. I don't know if it was a meme, I guess, whatever you want to call it. I wish this country loved black people the way they love black culture. Mm-hmm. Be aware of your friends that use the N-word casually. Be aware of your friends who listen to hip-hop. Be aware of your friends that take in the black culture but won't do anything to stand up for it and won't have any sort of opinion on the plight of the people that have given you whatever it is that you have enjoyed. I identify with hip-hop more than my own Spanish heritage. I'm sorry. My parents listen to Spanish music all the time. I don't listen to it.
Mm-hmm.
Never. And it just, again, in self-reflection, all this stuff starts to come right back up. Like, it's all been right here in front of your face.
Right.
If you take the time to think about it the right way, you'll start to uncover more. And what this situation has done, and I'll pass it on to you because I don't want to make this about me. I'm just telling you, these are all the things I've thought about in this time that we had off from this show. Is pay attention to the people who are silent. Pay attention to the people who are carrying on with content, social media, not saying anything.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to be out to protest to make a difference or to make a change. Protests are great. If you're scared of catching COVID, cool. There's other ways for you to do things.
Yeah.
Pay attention to the people that are carrying on like nothing's going on. Pay attention to the people who are posting selfies and travel pictures and things that have nothing to do, that is bringing no attention to this. Pay attention to those people.
Mm-hmm.
This situation for me is doing a lot more exposing than it is anything.
Yeah.
Friends, and that goes family too. Friends, family, close relatives, all sorts. It is exposing more and more either the complete ignorance or the indifference,
mm-hmm.
which goes hand in hand.
Yeah.
I'll let you talk now.
You're spot on with that, bro. Listen, no one's saying to write a sign on cardboard and go out and march. That's not what people are asking of you. But post the RIP photo. You don't have to say a word. You don't have to put a caption. You could disable your comments. But it helps to show the other people in your life that this is something you are concerned about and something you want to help eradicate. And to me, your silence in this, if you are the person that's always online every day, and I see you online every day, and you're not putting any kind of statement out, not even a photo of George, then to me that screams you don't want the people around you and any of your circles to know how you feel about this. And that's a big fucking problem. Because if you're worried about losing the racists in your life, what does that make you? That is a huge problem. And as we go throughout the rest of our lives and we keep fighting this, you are one of the people that has allowed it to continue. And I saw a meme too, which was very accurate. People constantly talk about what they would have done if they were enslaved, or if they were in Jim Crow, or if they were in the civil rights era. And it's absolutely true. What you're doing right now is what you would have done, because it was fucking harder to do it then.
You're absolutely right with that. It's just, again, it's more just like you have to just start thinking about this through a different lens. I'm talking to people of my color. No matter what race you are, I'm talking about the people of my color, because the privilege applies to you. You have to start thinking about this through a different lens. Just remember, I don't want to get too, I guess, mushy, over dramatic. These are humans. How can you sit there and watch humans of any race be treated that way? Let alone a race that has had this happening for forever. Forever.
Since landing in this fucking country.
which they didn't want to come. They didn't. Right. They didn't want to come here.
Right.
I want to talk about the root of the problem. Yes, it's systemic. Mm-hmm. Yes, the system is designed to keep poor people, which is most likely minorities, down. Mm-hmm. Bad education. Mm-hmm. But I want to talk about the cops. And I'm going to tell you why this is an issue. I have many cop friends. I'm going to look right into the camera. I have many cop friends that I consider good cops, good people. Mm-hmm. But you can be a non-racist good cop. But if you do not speak up and you see something and you don't say something, you are absolutely a part of the problem. If there's 1,000 cops, right? What is it? If there's 1,000 cops and 10 of them are bad and nothing happens, you have 1,010 bad cops.
Yes.
If you want an easy way to digest this boys club mentality, this brotherhood mentality that the police have, I have 2 movies for you to watch. One's current, one's not. I'm going to make this easy for you because not everybody likes to read. If you want to watch a movie that has to deal with these sort of same issues, and it's not about race, these 2 movies are not tied to race. They're tied to cops trying to do the right thing and watching the backlash that they get. One is Serpico with Al Pacino from the 70s. Mm-hmm. The man was up against corruption in the NYPD, which, let's face it, is still fucking going on to this day, and watch the backlash that he got from his own cops trying to shoot him, his cops not responding to calls when he was in danger because of the corruption that they wanted to keep going. Second movie is a lot more recent, and I'm sure most of you have seen it. Watch American Gangster.
Yeah.
Russell Crowe's character is a womanizer, right? Whatever. We all sin. We all sin different ways. Mm-hmm. But because he turned in $1 million basically that he found in the back of a truck, in the back of a car,
yeah,
the same thing happened. Ostracized. Boys Club. He had to wind up leaving being a cop to become a lawyer, mm-hmm. which he wound up representing Frank Lucas also. By the time Frank Lucas turned states and got these are the things that I want you to look at, because these are things that no matter, American Gangster takes place in the 70s, so does Serpico, right? These are things that are happening today. Mm-hmm. And this is the reason cops will never turn in other cops.
Yep.
Fear of the boys club mentality. That is it. And that's the issue. That's why it's not defund the police. It's break that shit down and start it over.
Yeah.
Why is it that it takes you longer to be a cosmetologist than it does to be a fucking cop? You have more. And Colin Kaepernick said this shit 4 years ago, and nobody heard that shit. They brought the quote back, and everybody's like, oh, you weren't listening.
Yeah.
NFL, I got a whole other clip for you.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I got a whole other clip for them. We'll get to that in a bit. But I wanted to make sure that I brought up that cop point, because there's movies and there's plenty of things that you can look at as research too, that there's plenty of cops that there's no movies made about them that try to do the right thing. And there's plenty of cops that join thinking that they're going to change things from the inside and wind up getting brainwashed into that boys mentality, that boys club mentality of my brother. My brother, I can't. When I hear a cop say, oh, I know him, he'd give the shirt off his back for you. No, he'd give the shirt off his back for you.
For you.
As a cop. Not me. Not anybody else. You.
Yep.
And that's why you feel that way about him. And that's why you wouldn't dare raise up and say anything. I just wanted to get your take on that as well.
It's true. I want to mention, because I know a lot of people didn't see it, and I know the reasons why people didn't see it, and I get it. But Black and Blue does a good job with that. The female officer in that film, she really, really did kill that.
Black and Blue it's a recent movie, right?
Yeah. Okay. The black female officer has the body cam, and she is shot by one of the plainclothes cops because she saw dealings that they didn't want her to see.
Right.
And they are chasing her all around the city to get the body cam so she doesn't turn it in. And that is our big problem with blue lives. That's fucking bullshit, bro.
Right.
Like,
that flag is so fucking offensive.
It's so offensive, bro. And why was that your reaction to Black Lives Matter?
And thank you for bringing that up because that's another point I want to make. Imagine when people say we want to help end racism and your response is anger.
Yep.
What?
Yep.
What?
Bro, the response to people being upset over the murder of black people was to paint a blue line down the streets so that we remember that you're always present, like we don't know. And the blue life is not a thing. You can remove your fucking uniform, fam.
It's just like I fucking bawled into tears when I heard George Floyd call for his mother who passed away.
Yeah.
To have that cop with that smirk on his face kneel on his neck for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. Try holding your breath for a minute. Try it. He was dead for 2 minutes before he even got off his neck.
Yeah. We literally watched a cop intentionally murder a man. Like, we know we have already seen it happen intentionally anyway. We watched it, but I guess you have the slightest wiggle room to say maybe we didn't know. In this case, you 100% knew. People were telling you around you what was happening.
And the other cops are standing there watching. I also want people to know that if they were not protesting, if we're not bringing awareness to this, those cops would be on paid leave right now.
Yeah.
So just know when you say, what are they doing this for? To what end? The only reason that those cops were arrested and charged 9 days later, 10 days later, whenever it was because of protests. And if you want to know why people are doing it, that's why. Put the pressure. Put the pressure on these people.
Nothing in this country has changed or been progressive without the same exact kind of pressure. I mean,
and this is a point that I think you made. White people can riot, right? And it's always looked at as, oh my God, they're patriots and pioneers, and look at them, what they're doing for the betterment of this country.
Yep.
Flip the roles and the narrative changes.
Yeah.
And again, we could do a fucking 12-hour, 36-hour episode of this and dig into all of this shit because there's so much. There's so many layers. And if you think that because you've never done anything to a black person or a person of color or anything like that, that you're fine, that you don't have any stake in this, you do. You do. I just, we can keep it going. I just have a few more things that I want to touch on. So the people out there, what can you do, right? What can I do?
Mm-hmm.
Trills already said it. Posting a picture and raising awareness on social media, that's the least you can do.
Yep.
Do your research. Donate to bails. Donate to people who need lawyers. Donate to charities that are actually involved in making a change.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
The worst response that I've been seeing online is my black friends, but I have black friends. You know why that infuriates me? It is not your black friend's responsibility to educate you on what's been going on. If you want to make your black friends proud, do your research. Don't do it for show. Mm-hmm. Do something and show them that you care.
By the way, liking a black person is not what prevents you from being a racist.
Thank you. And right after I finish this last statement, I'm going to get into a person that, I can tap into this because I'm deep into the NFL stuff or whatever, and I kind of want to tap into that too. I want to talk about that. Do your research. Make your actions count. Hold your fucking close circle accountable. Do not allow people to either be silent or say stupid shit around you. If people at this point are outraged and still speaking ignorant things around you, and you do nothing, it's you. It's you too. You have to do something. Okay? It's not enough to be horrified by the videos you see. It's not enough to say all the right things in front of your friends and family. It's not enough to support Black Lives Matter within your circle and then put nothing into action. It's none of that. None of that is cool anymore. You either have to pick a side. This is an important juncture in American history. And when they teach whatever it is that they want to teach in public schools later on down the line, you better fucking figure out what side of this line you're going to fall on. Because this year, when they get to this portion of this year, this is going to be its own course.
Oh, yeah.
This is going to be something that is not going to be explained in one lesson. Make sure that you're on the right side of this shit, or forever be on the wrong side of it. You'll never be able to change the way the perception is of you if you do not change right now.
Yeah.
I have a lot to say about my Spanish people too, man. Do your fucking history. Do your history.
Dominicans specifically dropped the fucking ball last week, bro.
Let me again, I don't want to make this about me, man. I'm just telling you that these are all the things that I've reflected on. And these are all the things that I'm passionate of speaking about. My wife is Dominican. Her family is from the Dominican Republic. My daughter is half Puerto Rican and half Dominican. She has my complexion. So it's up to me as a father to make sure she understands her privilege and what it is that she needs to do to continue these things. Kids are not born this way. No. I don't want to make this seem too like cheesy or anything like that. Again, we have all of my daughter's cousins, friends of the family, are darker than her. My daughter, who is 3 years old, walks right up to them, gives them a hug, wants to play with them, wants to be around them. Children are innocent. Children are not built to believe that. If a child is brought up a certain way, then they turn into a racist. And that's a discussion you need to have with your own parents. And there's plenty of children that have been taught the bullshit and have risen up against it and spoken up against it because they have tough minds and tough hearts. But it starts with the parents. I was lucky enough to have parents that would never allow me to think that way. I, as a parent now, will not allow that to happen with my daughter. Never. These are all things that you need to think about. There's so much to unpack. This is not as simple as, okay, racism is bad, let's end it. You need to change all of your thought processes and actions if anything's actually going to change. Dominicans, you don't know your history, or you're either just trying not to speak about it. I had always heard Dominicans saying, you know, if you ever called a Dominican person black, it's offensive. How did you get to the Dominican Republic? Right. Can I ask you that? Let me take it a step further. Light-skinned Dominicans, like my wife's sister, in their country are considered elite. The dictator at the time, Trujillo, brought Spaniards to his country to rape his people to cleanse the race. There are so many Dominican people that are still bound by this bullshit thinking to this day. My daughter, if we brought my daughter to Dominican Republic, and I've heard this in settings, oh, it's good that you hooked up with a white guy because now look at her, she's light skinned, she has the green eyes. I'll have a serious talk with my Dominican and my Puerto Rican people, because you're part of the problem. You're a deep part of the problem. You're just as bad as the people who are white supremacists. You're just as bad as the people yelling all lives matter. You're just as bad as anybody who's in the Ku Klux Klan. Bro,
you guys are thinking, you have the thought process of a fucking tyrant that existed in the 30s that wore white makeup and wouldn't show the rest of his fucking skin in hot ass climates because he didn't want anyone to see how dark he was. That man would meet with white leaders all across the world, be on beaches and near swimming pools with them, and wouldn't take off his fucking suit or dare to get in the water with them. That's fucking embarrassing. That's embarrassing that in 2020, you have the mindset of that man. And that man's grandmother was darker than me and Haitian. That's fucking embarrassing. And how do you ever fucking lay down at night, turn your TV off, and think about anything? Like, how in your conscious are you, like, not embarrassed? That shit blows my mind. You did the same shit the white boys in Philly did. You fucking got bats and weapons to chase black people out of a neighborhood, fam.
I'm just disappointed because for any Spanish person to act like they're above or that the cops view us differently, you're even more dumb than I ever thought. And again,
let me tell you something from a person that has spent a lot of time around white people and white people close enough to me that tell their truths. They call all Latin people Mexicans.
Yes, that's what you need to also keep your eye on. Honestly, when you hear these politicians speak, when you hear these people speak, my wife told me a story that she went to Georgia, and the lady wasn't being evil. She's being polite, I guess. And when she starts to talk with them, I guess it was a waitress or something like that. I believe at a Waffle House, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
They say, oh, where you from? And, my wife says, oh, I'm from the Dominican Republic. My wife is from the Dominican Republic. Like, she came to this country.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, oh, I didn't even know there was other Latin people other than Mexicans.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I also want to touch on one more thing because we're talking about the South. Germany has an ugly history, right?
Yeah.
For sure, right?
Yep.
It's not up to the older generation of Germans to change things. It's up to the younger generation of Germans to change things. And all the German people have done, because you can't speak for the people that came before you, you can only be held accountable for your own actions.
Yeah.
They have distanced themselves so far from the Nazi regime. There's no Nazi propaganda paraphernalia, anything like that to be found.
Yep.
Yet in this country, we're still trying to tear down Confederate flags, Confederate statues.
Yep.
And if that doesn't tell you all, listen, the Holocaust is one of the greatest atrocities to ever happen.
Absolutely.
I'm not trying to downplay that.
100%.
But again, the younger generation is the one putting a stop to the bullshit and not allowing that shit to continue. Meanwhile, fast forward to our country, which is supposed to be further along.
Mm-hmm.
And we still have people that wear Confederate flags. We still have people that have those statues up, and they're starting to get torn down now. It's mind-blowing when you start to think about it. Again, I don't want to say that I was numb. I don't want to say that I was ignorant. But, like, I knew all this stuff, and I didn't do anything about it. I wasn't outraged. It's just only when you start to put all this shit together after you see what happened and after you see people being so angry that you're like, holy shit, I'm a part of the problem too, because I myself haven't thought about it this way. It took something as drastic as this to happen for me to evaluate things that were right in front of my face.
Right.
Honestly, Trills, I thank you, for having this conversation with me. We're very good friends. And this conversation is not over. I just
No,
want to
it
put
can't be.
I want to put a disclaimer out for people who listen. And again, if you're worried about your social media platform and you're worried about losing followers, my followers dipped because I kept my Twitter strictly football.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as that changed, I watched my followers dip. And I watch who follows me. I don't follow everybody back.
Right.
I watch who follows me. God first. Country first. I already know what the fuck you about.
Yep.
I knew that I was going to lose all that. But could I look myself in the face and not bring awareness because I'm scared of losing 7 followers?
Right.
I'm going to put a disclaimer on this. If there's an issue that needs to be spoke about, it will be brought up and spoke about on this platform. If that's too much for you, I can't help you stay, then leave.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it. I don't know what else to say when it comes to that. One more thing that I wanted to talk about, and it's the NFL. Drew Brees. Look, man, this goes back to the point that I made about cops. Do I think Drew Brees is a racist? No. Do I think that Drew Brees would harm a black person in any way? No.
Right.
But your fucked up view and again, through your lens, to make that statement about disrespecting the flag, and your 2 grandparents fought in World War II as if they were the only 2 people that fought in World War II, as if black people weren't sent to go over there and fight for the country that fucking does not like them. They have to go into other places to get dressed because white soldiers did not want to get dressed with them. When white people were brought back to this country from the war, they were greeted with parades.
Yeah.
Black people went right back into the same situations that they were facing before they were sent in there.
And often got beat the fuck up, got put in prison after fighting a war.
And if you don't think the military is racist, I got bigger news for you then. I got bigger news for you. When people say, oh, my brother this, my brother that, it wasn't like that. Maybe it's closer to being like that. It's still not like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know how I know? Because when all this shit came up, I'm a 49er fan. Mm-hmm. And I was with Cap right from the beginning. You know why I was with Cap? My father's an Air Force veteran. My brother's an Army Ranger. My brother has confirmed kills in Afghanistan, has PTSD to this day. This country will not help him. The VA will not help him in any way.
Yep.
I asked him, how do you feel? My father, my brother, said, I laid my life down for this country so he could protest in any way that he wants to if he feels that he's being wronged. That's it. I don't need anybody else's opinion. Fuck your opinion on that. My family are veterans. I don't need your opinion on whether you think it's right or wrong. That flag, that whole dog and pony act, I go to sporting events all the time. Do you know what the fuck happens during the national anthem when you're in the crowd? People don't take their hats off. People are saying dumb shit. People are on their phone. Miss me with this country actually giving a fuck about the national anthem.
Yep. People are talking. The phones are out. They're scarfing hot dogs. They don't care that much.
No. Drew Brees says that and automatically is part of the problem. Do I want to take away what Drew Brees has done for New Orleans? Absolutely not. No. After Katrina, he spent $5 million and put that towards COVID. That's great. But again, the lens, you viewing this through, I feel about the flag. Not why are they kneeling? Not why are they protesting? You can't because I feel this way and I don't even want to hear what you have to say about it.
By the way, you're talking about kneeling 4 years later, bro. Cap started this protest years ago. Why is the reaction to the murder of George Floyd for you to bring up the fucking national anthem?
And the troops.
What the fuck are you talking about? Why was that the trigger? Like,
See, but that's the thing. It's always diverting the conversation. And that's what
Right.
it was the entire time. It
Right.
was always diverting the conversation away. That's why I knew it was bullshit, because I went right to my family. I'm like, yo, I get what he's saying. Tell me I'm wrong. And they're like, you're not wrong, and he's not wrong. That's it. That's all the validation I need. Fuck your opinion. You want to argue with me on Twitter? You're falling on deaf ears on when it comes to this conversation.
Right.
Nate Boyer was someone who played football and went to the military. He was furious when Cap sat, because Cap sat first. That's what you don't all remember. Cap sat first.
Yeah.
Cap sat first, and Nate Boyer was furious. Colin Kaepernick called him to have a conversation, to tell him why. He said he walked out of that conversation telling him, I prefer that you kneel for the flag as opposed to sit. And I understand exactly what you're saying, and I take back the way I felt. See, look, it's one thing to have, like you said, 4 years ago. Let's say 4 years ago you thought about this shit the wrong way. You had 4 years to get this shit right. And now, more than ever, you have a time to get this shit right. And you still are tripping on your feet, scuffling with this troops thing. Like, I don't understand.
It goes back to what I was saying. You're doing that for your fucking dad? You're saying that for your fucking dad? You're saying that for family members? It's what I was saying about you being silent on Instagram. Is you are doing that for the people around you. You don't want to let the people around you down because you don't agree with them. That's fucked up.
Now's the time more than ever that you need to start vetting the people that you're with and cutting off relationships, no matter how close. It's not an option.
That is a part of the change. The world changes when people see the people nearest and the most dear to them change. If people leave you because you are on the right side of this, they don't fucking love you, fam.
They don't love anybody.
Right.
How can you not have compassion for your fellow man? Everything that the Constitution is in there, and everything that's in that bullshit Pledge of Allegiance. Our Constitution was written by slave owners.
Yep.
Dave Chappelle brings light to this, like you said, from pain. I've gone back and I've watched. Do you remember the sketch when he's talking about him and his white friend are smoking weed, and they see a cop, and Chappelle's like, I don't want to talk to him, and he's like, I'm gonna ask him for directions, and he's like, the last thing you want to be is high talking to a cop. It's a waste of weed. And he says, the white guy walks up to the cop and says, Officer, I'm a little high right now. He's like, I'm just trying to find out where 3rd Street is. The cop's like, hold on now. You're on 3rd Street. Move it along. Move it. Like what's the other one? When he's in the car with his friend and he's like, the cop pulls up and he's like, Dave, I'm going to race him. He's like, no. He's like, no, man. But you see how you're allowed to laugh at that? But because, like he said, like he starts it out by saying, you don't know what it's like. He's like, he goes, I walk up and, the cop walks up and I say, you need my license and registration, sir? I'm just going to reach for it, like, slowly. Like, and remember, Killing Them Softly came out in 99?
Yeah.
That's not, it might be in the 2000s, early the 2000s.
Maybe, yeah.
But again, this is all shit that's been happening, forever. There's countless movies on it. Watch Fruitvale Station. That's a movie that you can watch one time. I can never watch that movie again. Though the thing that the scene where Michael B. Jordan finally dies at the end, that shit was exactly what the video looked like.
Yep.
Exactly what the video looked like.
Yep.
Pay attention to companies that are not donating anything.
Oh,
Pay
yeah.
attention to, because look, I was sitting in the corner. You know how much I love baseball. I'm sitting in the corner like, why haven't the Yankees said something? Why haven't the Yankees said something? And in my mind, I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to have the discussion with myself and figure out whether this is something that I can continue. I go to Yankee games 38 times a fucking year, bro. You know how it is with me. I love the Yankees. I had an issue when the Yankees had Fox News posters all over their fucking stadium. I've been to the stadium and they put Bill O'Reilly on the big screen. The fans booed, but that's not indicative of the people in charge. The Yankees pulled away from Fox News. They're no longer affiliated with them. That gave me my pass to let them go. But when they weren't saying it matter. But then myself, I was scared. I was scared that I was going to have to get rid of them because as a human, I wouldn't be able to look myself in the eye to support things that are not on the right side of history.
Right.
So I'm glad they said something. The NFL, let's just cap it with this, okay? You know how I feel about Drew Brees. It's fine. Again, you can be a good person, not be racist, but you can still be part of the problem, and that's what I'm going to cap it as with Drew Brees. He's part of the problem. The NFL, so there was a video that came out with the prominent black players, which is 70% of the league, 70, saying, what if it was me, Saquon Barkley, Michael Thomas, all these guys, what if George Floyd was me? What would it take for you to jump off of the sidelines until one of us dies?
Right.
There was an NFL employee, a black NFL employee, that was so fed up with the lukewarm responses from Roger Goodell, and this is something that I struggled with the entire time during the cap thing. How can I continue to support something? Because I love football over any sport. I am more into football than any sport. I struggled with it a lot. Like, Cap's clearly being blackballed. I don't even want to talk about the race thing. I'm just going to break it down to a quarterback thing because I could talk y'all to death about actually how many trash fucking quarterbacks are in the league, and you mean to tell me that this man does not deserve a job?
Yeah.
Listen, there's 32 teams in the league. There's at least 64 quarterbacks in the league. Colin Kaepernick, after 4 years being off at 32, is one of the top 64 quarterbacks in this league. That's not even debatable. So I don't even have to bring race into it to tell you that he's being blackballed. So I had the same discussion with the NFL in my mind, and I'm just like, fuck, man, how can I like all the time. I've worn my Cap jersey in places and been ridiculed. Oh, he don't got a fucking job or whatever. Like, why? Why does me wearing that jersey elicit that sort of anger? What does that make you so mad? So the NFL has all these lukewarm responses. Finally, the black players band together. Tyrann Mathieu, Michael Thomas, I said Saquon Barkley, and finally Patrick Mahomes, who is now the face of the NFL.
Yeah.
His father played baseball for the Mets, and only after Patrick Mahomes finally jumped out and said Black Lives Matter did Roger Goodell feel it was necessary to say those 3 words in his statement. Is it late? You fucking know the answer to that. Is it a good step? Sure. It's up to you whether you want to take that little peace offering that Roger Goodell gave you how many years later.
Right.
Then for you to take it however you want. I know that you don't fuck with the NFL. I know that for a fact. I respect it. I fucking respect it. It's a little bit harder for me, honestly. But again, it comes into what do you hold near and dear to yourself? Like, again, so like it was getting to a point like if this league didn't say something that I even thought was halfway decent, then I would have had to have that discussion with myself as to whether to support. Because I go to games. I've traveled to Florida, to DC. I went down to Miami for the Super Bowl. I support this league wholeheartedly. I buy 49ers gear. I'm like decked out in it all the time. So I spend my money with the NFL, and that's what you need to start thinking about yourself. Think about the places that you're spending your money. Find where they deliver their money. Stop eating Chick-fil-A. Like, what the fuck, man? Like, but I do want to say that I am happy that this one NFL employee was able to get this system to at least acknowledge this in a way. Like, whatever's happening with COVID, I really am eager for this season to start because I want to see the kneeling and I want to see the backlash it's already getting. Once Roger Goodell put this out, now they're back to protesting, just like they were when Cap first started.
Yep.
Also remind you of another thing, if you guys don't remember NFL football at all. They never showed the national anthem.
No.
Never.
No.
It would always be people in the fucking booth talking. It would always be a Bud Light commercial.
Yep.
It would be them at the studio. It would never show that. And then Cap decides to do this, and then it becomes this huge deal. Mike Pence knows the 49ers are going to be playing in Indianapolis, pulls up, and walks out to make a spectacle of this shit like he didn't know it was going to fucking happen.
Mm-hmm.
These are all things you need to take into consideration. So the NFL, while it's a peace offering and it's late, I'm happy that at least they're moving in that direction. But I understand if that's not enough, because it's not.
It's not enough, but it moves the needle, and that's all that needs to happen. At the very least, we have to move the needle and inch along. So
what I want to say is this, and this is where we're going to cap it, because we're at an hour, and I do want to talk about these two albums that are up or whatever, because I'm like, in this midst of, being sad, angry, hurt, hip hop has actually helped me, like at least keep a piece of myself, like, intact. Where you land on this is going to be remembered forever.
Yes.
And you need to evaluate yourself. And please do not go back to just posting the regular bullshit today, tomorrow, the day after. That's what they want. They want you to forget about this. Continue to spread awareness. Continue to hit those protests. Continue to post what you're posting and bring awareness to all of these issues, because the only way this shit is it's not over. This shit is not over. First of all, those guys are charged. There's no way that even means anything is going to happen to them as far as a conviction or anything like that. We've seen that play out tens of hundreds of times.
Yeah.
Do not stop. Keep going. Keep on. This is not a discussion that's going to stop here. We will not stop addressing it on here. And we do not want you to stop using your voice in any way that you can. There are ways that you can contribute without protesting. If protesting is your way, I am proud of you. I am happy, because that is what this country was built on.
Mm-hmm.
It just wasn't built on black people doing it. So I'm glad that we were able to have this discussion. I didn't want to get into this at all on pre-show, or anything like that when we talked. I kind of just wanted to talk to you here.
Right.
I wanted it to be raw. I wanted you to hear it for the first time. I wanted you to hear all these things that I've been, my mind has been at work this entire time. And I have a lot of work to do. I have a lot more work to do.
Mm-hmm.
We all do.
Yeah.
And as a parent, my daughter has to grow up in this world. What world will I leave her behind when it's my time to pass? That's what you should all be thinking about.
Right.
Okay. I love you, buddy. I'm glad that, me and you have this conversation, and that we're of the colors that we are, and again, hip hop brings that all together. And that's, again, don't let people take the culture without caping for it.
Oh yeah.
All right. Let's talk some fucking music then. Let me get a fucking drink. God. So I'm glad you guys stuck with us. I'm still not going to do any soundboard shit. This is still going to be, because these two releases that we're going to speak about are directly tied to what we were just talking about. Not directly. The Gibbs one I have a little bit more of issues with, and I want to talk through that. The Run the Jewels shit, you already know that Run the Jewels is going to be up in the air, and I kind of want to, let's start with them.
Mm-hmm.
Let me also say this. Run the Jewels came out. They dropped their shit for free. I've been listening to it on streaming, so they make sure they get their money. But there are ways for you to buy the project which donate to certain things.
Yeah.
So make sure you check that out, okay? So not only is the music fucking phenomenal, it always has had a message. This is the fourth Run the Jewels album, guys. Let's go. This isn't the first time that they put. Let's go. Let's go.
Yeah.
My favorite song on this album is Walking in the Snow.
That's, bro, yeah.
So Gangsta Boo's back. Gangsta Boo's back on this hook. But Killer Mike's verse on this song particularly resonated with me because of what we talked about of, I sit on my couch and watch a black man die and I'm numb.
Yeah.
When that line hit, I rewinded it and I started it over. And when you listen to that entire Killer Mike verse, I'm not certain that it gets more clear as to how not only a black man feels, how any person with any sort of compassion should feel going through these times. That for me is the verse of the album. Yeah. That one hit me, and that one, if I keep listening to it, because I've been listening to that and the Give shit nonstop. That's the one that I will know verbatim for sure, and I will make sure that I walk away with that one knowing that one verbatim.
Yeah, that particular song does what we all hope to do if you're making music, and it does what the best music always does. It's like you get the fucking chill, you know, like, and writing that I Can't Breathe line in this song that wasn't written for this instance.
Correct.
Shows you how many fucking times we've heard a black man say that as some of his last words, man. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Insanely good song, man.
Yes. It felt appropriate. You know, like when they were like, "Oh, we're just dropping this shit now," I was like, "Perfect." I was like, "This is appropriate right now. Like, this is it right now. This is the time for it." And if I could use, you know, the album is 45 minutes, 50 minutes, something like that.
Yeah.
If I could use 45, 50 minutes to just, you know, still be aware of the situation, because what are they talking about the entire album? Still be aware of it, but also try to escape for a bit. Calm my nerves. Stop looking at the phone. Stop looking at videos. Stop reading the threads of people saying horrible, disgusting, despicable fucking things.
Yeah.
And you know, this past week I've typed out probably 3,000 responses and tweets that I just wind up deleting and canceling.
Yep.
Like I posted something and I woke up and my mentions were fucking littered. And I got into some back and forths. Because sometimes I can't let shit go. I'm one of those people that I can't let shit go, especially when you're wrong. So I'll give you a perfect example. I posted a video of Drew Brees kneeling. And I added him. And I said, "This you?" Because that happened.
Right.
Because I remember it. You know why? Because I love the NFL. And I remember it all.
Yeah.
That was before a game in 2017 against the Carolina Panthers. I had white people looking in the camera, white people saying, "Stop pushing a false narrative. That was during an injury." So let me not even do race. I was like, how long have you been watching football? When the fuck you ever seen a cameraman be that close to people kneeling on an injury on the sideline? Because the camera and the picture is up close.
Right.
That doesn't happen. You know why? That doesn't happen in NFL games. So you don't watch the games. You just want to be angry. Cool.
Yeah.
Also, I'm going to call you out and show you that it happened. 2017 versus the Carolina Panthers. Once you call them out and they feel stupid, then they start talking in circles. And they draw you in. This is what you Democrats. No, here's the line that infuriates me. I swear to God, if I ever get in a conversation with somebody and you tell me this, you say this one line to me, it's a dub. I'm not gonna talk to you anymore. Stop watching CNN. I fucking love and hate that one. You know why I love it? Say it to me. Because you know why? I haven't owned cable in 5 fucking years. I hate it because that's their stupid ass fucking way of saying, "Oh, you're being led astray." As if when I talk about your stupid ass fucking president, I'm not talking about things that he said out of his stupid fucking mouth. As if CNN has to spin his own press conferences when he's made fun of a man who was disabled, when he's called Mexicans bad hombres. Like, what? Like, that's not a narrative. That is not controlled by the news. No. These are the words that came out of that Cheeto-faced fuck's mouth. How? And then, again, you're talking in circles, and because I debunked your initial point, you drag me down to your level. Listen to Hove. Be careful who you argue with. Fool's a fool, because people from far away don't know who is who. So yes, on Twitter I go back and forth with people and things like that, but fuck that. Back to Run the Jewels. I think there's something that needs to be said about music that is made in a way that is so good and so listenable with a message. With a message. And it's very possible. That's why people get me mad. Oh, it's too preachy. It's too this. It's too that. You know. And we're gonna end this conversation at the end of the show with a conversation about To Pimp a Butterfly. Okay? Because it's different from Run the Jewels, and I'll explain why when we get to that point. But there is something that needs to be said about music that is easy to listen to, as far as it's crafted beautifully from the production and the verses and everything as well, but also having a message. So it's very possible, guys, for you to make mainstream music, make things that sound good with a message.
Absolutely.
And it's crazy. It's crazy to think that LP is white like that. Like.
yeah. Because I mean, it's just so, bro. It's so skillfully done. And like you said, man, you play that shit in the car, and like you really you forget that it's a political album, and that's fucking masterful, bro. Like, and they keep doing it, right? And they keep getting better at doing it.
That's the point. It's the fourth album, the fourth one. They've been doing this. It's not force feeding you. You know, it's not force feeding it down your throat or anything like that. Like, it's giving it to you because this is something that they've always stood for. The first time that I ever heard of Run the Jewels was, what the hell's this guy's name? Mr. Motherfucking Esquire. Do you know him? Yeah. He had that joint, Huzzah, the remix. Him, Danny Brown, LP. LP in the video, when he gets to his verse, is rapping, and Killer Mike's behind him with the Draco, like his protection and shit. And I didn't get that then. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, what's Killer Mike doing in this crazy ass video or whatever? Yeah. And I didn't know that. And it's just, again, it just speaks to the idea that just because one man is white, one man is black, that they don't all feel the same way and they can't come together, you know, and deliver the same message. Yeah. One message comes from direct knowledge, pain, suffering. One comes from seeing all of that and wanting to have that change, and it comes together beautifully. Yeah. But it was the perfect album to drop at this time. If you haven't heard it, yes, please listen to it, guys.
Essential listening right at this point.
Correct. 100%. Like, not even close. So, I mean, yes. Run the Jewels has thrown its hat into the album of the year conversation. Oh, yeah. Because whether you believe it or not, it's June. We're already halfway through. We're halfway through the year already. So it's time to start thinking about the albums of this year. And
that's top contender for sure.
For sure. And Run the Jewels is going to be something that I'm going to listen to for a long time. Because I'm never going to forget this moment. And this album is going to be a reminder of this moment. And that's what good music always is and always should be, is a reminder of a time in your life.
And you know what? I like to point out that Run the Jewels did not fucking make an album cover that feels like the time, that feels like a COVID-19 album cover or a protest album cover, and make an album that had nothing to fucking do with any of it.
That would date the album, I think. That would date it, like, as if, like, you can tell what time that is. If this album came out 4 years ago, something like that, would it have had the same impact on me? I don't know, man. I don't think so.
It would have still been a great album.
No, of course. And I still would have understood the messages, but it resonates deeper with me right now because of everything. It goes hand in hand. Yeah. So while it's not dated because, like you said, it sticks to the every Run the Jewels cover is the same thing. It's the same thing. It's just in different variations. It will always remind me of this time, and it will always bring me right back to this time, and it will always make me remember what people are standing for right now and what people are fighting for.
Yep.
Okay. So that was one album that came out. You already heard me speak about it. Freddie Gibbs came out. I want to ask you a question because I deem this album as flawless.
Mm-hmm.
This Freddie Gibbs album.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember, and I think I know who you're going to answer with because it's my same exact answer. Do you ever remember any artist coming out with 2 projects within the same year that were as quality like as these in the same calendar year? Because Bandana didn't come out in 2020. Bandana came out in 2019. Right, but it's within the same 12-month period, if I'm not mistaken, as Alfredo.
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever remember an artist that has done something like this and put out 2 projects that were as quality and as flawless as both of these albums were? With 2 different producers. It's not somebody dipping into the same bag and doing it over again. It's a guy connecting with Madlib, then connecting with Alchemist, and being able to make 2 flawless bodies of
this is unlike anything, man.
The only other person I could think of, and this is because he was the only person that ever did it in my lifetime, was DMX.
X is the only person that put out 2 great albums in the calendar year.
The only difference between DMX and Freddie Gibbs is DMX was a superstar. Both albums were number 1 in the same year. Freddie Gibbs is still slept on, has been his entire career, underrated. This isn't going to sell a bunch of, records. That's not the point. I don't think that Freddie Gibbs cares about that.
No.
I also do not want to downplay Alchemist.
Yeah, man.
My goodness, the production on this album is it's not even flawless. Like, it's just like it's unspeakable. Like, I don't understand how you're still. We had this discussion about Alchemist. He's versatile.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Those beats may not work with Mobb Deep when they were, when Prodigy was around. Those beats may not work with Currency because he's done projects with him.
Yeah.
Those beats may not work with Conway because it seems like Alchemist is in a bag right now that a lot of people would like to be in.
Oh, yeah.
I am in a spot where I can work with who I want to work with and not compromise my vision.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that Alchemist right now, between Lulu and between this project, Alfredo, is up right now on all the other producers as far as this year goes.
Yeah, I was killing it, bro. What I can't understand about this guy is how many fucking records does this guy listen to, bro? Like, how are you? God damn.
You know what I love about it, though, honestly, man? Like, yes, I'm going to, dip into my old head bag. This is boom bap, slow down rap, and it never feels forced, never feels boring, it feels fresh. Yeah. Somehow, something that we used to love from the 90s has a fresh sound.
It doesn't feel old.
At all. I just want to make sure that we do not gloss over the idea or the fact that Freddie Gibbs is one of the most slept on, underrated, overlooked artists in our culture. He has never released a bad project in my mind. I have been on the Freddie Gibbs bandwagon for a long time. Mm-hmm. A long time. You may not believe that because we just started this podcast, and that's fine.
Right.
But it's true. Yeah. When Freddie drops something, I'm listening to his shit. What about the joint when he had the Teddy Pendergrass cover?
Freddie.
Fuck.
That Freddie's one of. It's hard, bro. It's hard to slide it up here in like a top 25 album for me. But I think about it. Freddie is so fucking good.
And for a guy from Gary, Indiana, right? This is why we like when they talk about like where you're from and things like that. Like, genius don't come from one part of the country. Genius comes from the person.
Mm-hmm.
And look, this is a discussion I want to get into with Freddie Gibbs. Some of this stuff on this album, some of the skits or the movie things that are in it, I had to sit back and I'm like, hold up, like what? Perfect example, because this is my favorite song on the album, the Baby Shit.
Yeah.
Okay. The end of the song, the beat, fades out, and a movie clip comes on, a movie or a show clip, because I wasn't certain what this is. I started at first, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, because I am wrong, and it's not this, but the first thing that I thought of, because I hear, you hear the end of the sketch, and he's saying, you know why I love to sell a ton of drugs in Harlem, Bumpy? I thought hoodlum. That's what I thought. I'm like, okay, hoodlum. Is that hoodlum? Like, I haven't seen that in a long time with Lawrence Fishburne. It's not.
Yeah, right.
Well, what he says is, every junkie out there looking for a fix, every mother that leaves his son hungry in bed to go find a fix, every N-word baby that's born with a habit makes me happy, makes my heart smile.
Yeah.
I felt conflicted when I was like, hold up. I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, whoa. Like, hold up, bro. Like, that's for I'm not mad at him for, well, I won't say that I'm not mad at him for using that, but I want to address the comment itself. How horrible of a fucking human being do you have to be to say those words?
Right.
And I think that I found where it's from. There was an Epix miniseries, the channel Epix, called Godfather in Harlem.
Of Harlem, yeah.
And that's Chaz Palminteri's character saying that to Bumpy Johnson. Made me want to watch it. The what's the gentleman's what's the kid, what role did he play? He always plays like a little bit of a dickhead. He was in Players Club. Remember the kid who, like, he walks up on Lisa Ray and he's like, I heard you, popping that thing open at the Players Club, and like he tries to throw the dollars at her. He plays Malcolm X in this show.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it yet. But that line, first of all, it fucked me up. I was like, what the? I was like, what? Like, and like when I listened to it, it's like, okay, where is that from? And it made me want to watch the show. But I'm like, this is the type of shit that ties directly into, I guess this is the message that he was trying to get across when he put it in the song. And the message that he's trying to get across is, Bumpy Johnson was around when? 70s?
Earlier.
Right. In Harlem, right?
Uh-huh.
And I'm certain that there's people that feel the same way as whoever it was, that character was saying whatever it is that he was saying.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So that's the part that kind of left me like, but I guess the idea of putting that in there is to horrify you, right? It is to get you to be like, did he really just say that? Like, do people really believe that? Like, that's horrible.
Yeah.
I don't want to like change the narrative on like what we're talking about on how great the album is or whatever.
No, but that, you made a good point, because there's like so much juxtaposition in this album. You get that skit at the end of a song, and you also get Gil Scott-Heron at the end of a song. And I think that completely sums up who Gibbs is. You know what I'm saying? Like. And that's right on time too, where like Gil Scott is saying like, like the revolution is like something that won't be captured on film, you know what I'm saying? Going back to that, it won't be televised. And I think people don't understand what he meant by that, because people are saying it is being televised. Look at the TV and look at Instagram and stuff. But he was like essentially saying that like, something will happen inside of you where you just like realize that like you're on the wrong page or on the wrong note, and it just hits you then, and that is revolutionary, and that can't be captured. So like that skit at the end of that song is super dope, and then it's super dope that you have that on Baby Shit, because it's exactly who Gibbs is, and he says it like, I'm praying every day, but my Arabic's rusty. Like that's who he is.
And I'm glad that you brought about, because the line that resonates with me the most, and I can't remember what song it's from, but I realized that my execution may be televised.
Yep.
It's powerful. Yep. That's powerful.
Yep.
It's a sad thought to think that he understands that he may be killed on a smartphone camera.
Yeah.
There's a lot, and again, these 2 albums, they were dropped at the right time. But the conversation continues. The conversation will continue.
Yeah.
It will continue here with us. It will continue with the people that are being directly affected, and you need to join the conversation. Maybe not speak as much, maybe just listen. But I love it. It's fucking flawless, man. I hopefully when all this shit opens up, whenever it is that Freddie has a show that's near here or anything like that, I'm going. I already love too much of his music already. I want to get your take on this real quick before we, because we're already at an hour and a half. I think we're doing great, actually, by the way. I really thought that this conversation was going to last like 3 hours and things like that. But I think that, we spoke about a lot of things that are important, and we spoke about a lot of things clearly. But so Freddie Gibbs' IG stories have been, and this kind of speaks to what you were saying about playing both sides of yes, we need to do this, but also, I see the other side of it. So, he's posting about the riots. He says that he opens up the door and he goes, "I knew shit was crazy when a dude walked up to me and tried to sell me a monkey." He was like, "I'm going back in the house." He was like, so his IG stories, and this is going to spark another conversation. His IG stories were largely humorous.
Right.
Around he was like, so there was another video of a gentleman wearing sneakers 8 sizes too big. And they were like, "For all y'all that rob Flight Club, let me come see y'all again." But LL Cool J put out a freestyle. And he, on his IG stories, posted it and clowned it. And he was like, "Weak ass bars." And then he goes to cite accidental racist.
Right.
I think there's a lot of people that are still upset with LL over that.
Yeah.
That look past how powerful what it was that he had to say because of the things that he said on that record. And I want to get your take on it, knowing that, you're much more of an LL fan than I am. Right. I understand, again, understanding a person's place in importance to our culture, to our history, doesn't make me a fan. I can understand both,
Right.
But I just wanted to get your take on it because he was brazen with it. When people were applauding LL in the comments, I saw people saying Freddie Gibbs made me not take this serious anymore. Yeah. So I want to get your take on that because it took me a while. I forgot that Accidental Racist came out 7 years ago.
Yeah.
A lot of my friends didn't even know that came out. And to me, it kind of I was like, wait a minute. Didn't we joke and clown him for what he said on this song? Because he did say some bullshit.
Yeah.
He said some bullshit on that song.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not even gonna try to sugarcoat it. He said some bullshit on that song.
That song's fucking horrible.
Yeah, whatever. But does what he said on Accidental Racist cancel out the message that he has, which was a very powerful verse that I sat there and I listened to every single minute of? I felt the fury. I felt the anger. I felt the importance of all the words that were said.
Yeah. No, Accidental Racist shouldn't. But L, and I hate it, it's I did not mean a pun, but he has to hold his L, bro. Because he has been doing it to himself. He is on Twitter saying stupid shit. And when you're tweeting stupid shit, no matter how fire your bars are, people gonna kill you now. And people weren't even thinking about Accidental Racist until you tweeted some dumb shit. I wonder how people that have biracial children are coping right now. Bro, what the fuck are you talking about? That tweet And his defense of the tweet is what set everybody off to start bringing accidental racists back and going looking for every single thing he posts to shit on it.
Right.
It doesn't matter how good it is at this point.
You've already set the precedent with your own words, and you kind of just like put that up in front of yourself. What I do want to say about this. While I talk about people that I'm watching that are being silent, if you are being silent and gathering information and not saying anything stupid, that's a whole other thing. And I applaud you for that. But if you notice people being silent, text them on the side. Ask them how they feel. And if someone tells you, I'm horrified at what happened, but I also need to educate myself a little bit more before I make, statements online, that's the sort of stuff that you need. And that's sort of, it ties into the whole, like, shut the fuck up. Mm-hmm. Sometimes, shut the fuck up. Yeah. Don't send that tweet. Yeah. Don't, Terry Crews, go. And it'll lead right into our To Pimp a Butterfly. This is it. We listen, before we get into this, Freddie Gibbs' album is fucking incredible. Run the Jewels album is incredible. You are doing yourself a disservice if you do not listen to these albums right now. Yeah. Go ahead.
Black supremacy is not a thing, bro.
It's not a fucking thing. And look, oh my God, yo, and you worded it so perfectly. I am gonna quote your tweet verbatim. Here's how black supremacy is a thing. Black people have to own everything, treat people terribly, keep the same race down for that to even be possible. It is not a thing. What are you talking about?
It's not a thing. And it would never be a thing that black people would be interested in.
No. You know what's crazy is black people say we just want to be equal, and it's met with anger. It's met with, yeah, but.
Yeah.
What? Like, they're not even asking, like, black people aren't even saying, yo, you know what? We want to run everything. We want it all.
Nobody said, yo, we want to be the 1%. We want to, we don't even want that. That's not even a life black people want, because it looks so scary and it looks fucking lonely and it looks like you have to protect and guard everything all the time. That's not even what we want, bro. We don't want to be royalty and the Queen of England. And we don't want that shit. That shit looks wild and weird to us. Equality shouldn't be met with, oh, you want to run everything? Like, what?
What? And I think that Terry Crews's tweet falls short of the mark, not even because just of what he said, but because you saw Gabrielle Union saying what she said about the show that you're on, and instead of listening to her, your first reaction was to cape for the show that you were on. That's wrong. That's not a good look.
And you know what? We were trying not to be victim blamers at the time.
Right.
But everything you have done in recent years makes us say, I see why you let that man grab your dick or your gooch or whatever.
Because you don't want to lose your spot. You don't want to lose. And thank you for bringing that up, okay? Because I when that came out, I for sure gave Terry Crews props. One, because it's not easy to admit some shit like that, especially and I can't imagine what it's like as a black man. As a man, to admit that shit, I can't imagine how hard that is. I cannot. I was on his side, like, oh man, you need to understand that this stuff is happening, and you need to understand that because of fear of being hit against on, the platform that you're trying to be on, being an actor, and bringing this up, you would let something like that slide. Go ahead, keep going though. I'm glad that you brought that up.
It's all there. It's all, he's writing it out in front of us that he has to do some serious work on himself. Like, I'm not here to
judge it, but
but it's obvious that he needs to do some work on himself, because he can't figure out what's right, it seems.
I can't believe that just the tone deafness of not only that comment, but just so many other people. Like I said, all this has really done has just exposed people.
Oh yeah.
You know, the people that I knew that were down for this before all this, they're doing what I thought they would do. The people that I expected
Look,
to not do anything are not doing anything.
look, the people that were great, the people that were seen as brilliant leaders, maybe even prophets to some people, what they have said is coming back around. And we're seeing how we shouldn't idolize people. We're seeing how celebrities aren't smarter than you. They aren't more brilliant than you. They aren't more special than you. They just worked to have that perception. That perception is being ruined now. And people like Malcolm X had long told us to not look to celebrities. And it's coming back, and it seems very prophetic. And I hope people keep this. I hope the energy stays the same, and I hope people have learned very valuable lessons.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm not particularly shocked at the people that I've seen be absent on it. You know, like very rarely am I shocked at somebody. I kind of know where everybody's values lie. You know, and that's something that I need to have a discussion with myself about. Like, if I know that you weren't going to say something about this before, then me hanging around you like says a little bit more about me, I think. But yeah, let's get into so my favorite Kendrick Lamar album is To Pimp a Butterfly.
Mm-hmm.
I am of the opinion that To Pimp a Butterfly is a top 3 hip hop album of all time. I'm willing to argue that with anybody. I thought that right after I heard it for the third straight time. When we were talking about music that is made to be easy to listen to while giving you a message, To Pimp a Butterfly isn't that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that it's meant like that to emulate the type of conversation that you need to get into when it comes to race relation.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what this is. This is an uncomfortable listen. It's not easy to get through all of it. It has peaks, it has valleys.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a beautiful body of work. When you listen to it, it's now more relevant than it's ever been. And as you saw, I sent it to you right away. Apple Music has seen that album be right back into the charts. When we talked about the 10 songs, if you had to introduce somebody to hip hop to, Kendrick Lamar's All Right was on there. And it's a rallying cry again.
Yeah.
I listen to it again and it hits harder now when you listen to it now than it did when it came out. It's just incredible that somebody could basically sum up something so complex, something that I don't think anybody can define themselves. I think that it's an ongoing conversation. How he was able to put that together in that manner, have that full project, have an entire message the entire way, and with the Tupac interview,
Mm-hmm.
And have absolute fucking slaps on it.
Yeah.
I'm just like, listen, it's documented. I am a Kendrick Lamar stan. He's my favorite rapper of the newer guys for sure, easily, like not even close.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think I'm understating any of the things that I'm saying right now about the album, and I would be willing to speak with anybody on this and see what whatever they thought is the issue with it. But it was an album that was probably ahead of its time. It went over people's heads, because I remember as saying that I loved it immediately. Seeing people like, with the Jordan fucking meme dunking it into the recycle bin or whatever. I just realized that those people don't want to don't want to talk about it, and don't want to listen to things like that aren't as easily accessible, because I've been in places where I've said it out loud. They're like, "Oh, what are you listening to right now?" I'm like, "The best album out right now is To Pimp a Butterfly," and I watched the whole room go, "Oh, nah," like, because it's not easy to listen to, because the message is heavy all the way through, because it's a heavy message and it's a heavy subject. And that's what I understood about it immediately. When you it's the lens. Take the lens and make sure that you put it in the right direction. Stop listening to the Migos for fucking high-end lyricism, and stop listening to fucking Jadakiss for trap songs. Like, it doesn't make any sense in the context of everything. But go ahead. I feel like I'm just like talking, rambling or whatever. But
no, you said it, man. It's a top tier album. Was one that was ahead of its time and for its time, and probably will be
forever.
The soundtrack. Yeah, without a doubt. That is like, that's literally, whatever you believe in, that is like the work of some sort of higher power, the way the fuck that ties in. Like, you don't just stumble on creating something that cohesive and brilliant. You know what I mean? And
so many influences too. Like, the jazz is all over it,
Jazz, funk.
The album hits you right off the bat. The first joint. The first joint is Last Night I Think Love You.
It's immediately P-Funk, immediately from the top. And then it goes into,
King Kunta.
Kunta is James Brown.
So King Kunta is, and here's the thing about this album too, is he dropped I first. People didn't get it. They were like, "Oh my god, like, what the fuck is this?" And even myself, I was like, "Oh no." I was like, you gave us two back-to-back classics. You gave us Good
I specifically remember people saying, "Yo, this sounds too much like Outkast for me."
Yeah,
it was one of the first things I heard people say about
Right. It was such a like a left turn. But me, I was just like, okay. I was like, I'm not gonna panic or whatever. I'm still obviously gonna buy the album. It's just coming off of Good Kid, which was a classic.
Right.
That was the time that he put out that record as the first single for an album that everybody was waiting for.
Yeah.
And I think that we should appreciate that more, because it's very easy to pitch us All Right as the first single.
Oh yeah.
You could pitch that right off the bat, and everybody will be like, "Oh, here's a slap," or whatever. He did that well knowing that when you listen to the album, that song makes perfect sense in the spot that it's in.
And then again, you talk about his brilliance of knowing that when people got to that point, that they would be blown away by the live version of it.
Now, let me ask you a question. Is there a better three-song streak in any album than, let me pull it up because I just want to make sure that I got it in the right order. It starts with How Much a Dollar Cost, then Complexion, and then Blacker the Berry. Has there ever been a better 3-song streak of "Oh my God," "Oh my God," and then "Oh my fucking God"? The only reason that the Blacker the Berry doesn't hit as hard for me out of the 3 is because I remember listening to that shit like every day, like when it was like out, like when they first put the song out. But that's an interesting conversation, because like when I was listening through it again, like I forget that song's on there. It hits as the third one, and I'm just like, yo, this, and there's only 2 more records after that. It's I, and then The Mortal Man, and then when shit hits the fan, are you still a fan? Like, this shit I'm still amazed at how 2015, I'm still blown away by the artistry that went into this, and the thought process that went into this. When you could have easily given us an album full of hard beats, spitting hard shit, we would have loved it. we wouldn't have been mad at you for it. For you to use your moment right there to make this album speaks to what the artist is really worried about, which is not making money. It's about his actual craft and it's his actual message.
Like, what can you say, bro?
Yeah, man. I don't care. I just wanted to give it its time to shine right now because I just been like, you know, like it's like basically speaking to everything, and it's just like a good time to look back on it. It's a good time to remember, you know, you didn't appreciate it till the second one came out, you know, like and then like tied into all this is like the stuff that he left off of this on the Untitled Unmastered.
Right.
And it's like all that stuff is from the same sessions, and all that stuff is just as amazing. Dang.
Yeah, man.
I know what I'm gonna do after this. All right, look, let's keep it light. Let's end it then. Let's end it like have you been watching any shows, anything else? Has it been hard for you to like disconnect, get away? Because like I honestly did something that I've never done like in a long time. I beat a video game.
Word.
Yup. So I'm trying to watch stuff. Like I watched Parasite recently. I know I saw that before we after we talked. That movie was incredible.
Yeah, it was.
Oh my God! And the commentary on classism is very slept on.
Yeah.
I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but it's on Hulu. You guys got time, hopefully, and you've been, you know, like you're in the crib or whatever. So yes, Parasite was incredible. I just saw that. But I'm watching. What is it we're watching? Well, Insecure is about to end. I think the next episode is the last of the season or whatever. But Homecoming I started on Amazon Prime. And that's made by the guy who made Mr. Robot, which I'm a big fan of Mr. Robot. That show is a mindfuck if you've ever seen one. Like, if you ever want a show that you literally have no idea what's going to happen, Mr. Robot's for you. I sit there and try to formulate, theories. I wouldn't even be close, like, to what's going on in that show. Mm-hmm. But it's called Homecoming, and it's about Julia Roberts is in it, and I'm only like 2 or 3 episodes in, but it's pretty dope. It's like, it's very mysterious right now. Like, they're not telling you anything. It's about like a place that people who served in the war or whatever, or for America, they come back to this facility that helps them get acclimated back to real life. But you can tell that something's going on. You just don't know what yet. Yeah. So that's what I'm. You anything?
Very, very timely, bro. I would say people should probably, if you have Amazon Prime, which most people probably do,
right,
go watch Seberg. It's a super dope movie about Gene Seberg and the Black Panthers. Really dope. Really, really dope.
Amazon actually has an entire section for Black movies. Even Warner Brothers made the movie with Michael B. Jordan. I forget what it's called. Damn it! I don't want to sound stupid or whatever.
Oh, yeah, I can't remember either.
Yeah, but they made that movie on demand too, as well, for you to watch or whatever. Like I said, Fruitvale Station is always a movie that you should watch once. I can't bring myself to watch it again.
Yeah. Just Mercy is the movie.
Just Mercy, correct.
Yeah.
Correct. There you go.
And again, specifically for white allies, although this might kind of scare you, but Seberg, because Jean Seberg was a white woman that like really, really did work for civil rights, and I don't think a lot of people know.
I mean, it needs to be seen because you need to see like how things continue, because if white people are scared to say something, it also helps continue push whatever it is that they want going. So can I end it with a light note? Who is that super woke guy that be all in the comments or whatever with the beard and the kufi that he always says
Dr. Umar.
Look, I'm not laughing at what he's saying because I've listened to his videos, because I'll explain why it drove me there or whatever, but I listen to his videos. Sometimes he says some things that I'm like, oh my God, like that's 100% true. But when they take those clips and they cut them out of context and use them in reactions, like on Twitter, oh my God, I was like, I have to hear what this whole conversation was, but you just take that little.
Dr. Umar is like, he is Like he says a lot of real shit, but two things can be true
True.
at a time.
Yes.
He says some real shit.
He does.
He is also one of the wildest people I have
He's just
fucking ever
look.
heard.
I get it. He's just extreme.
Yeah.
But
And he has to also know that he's being funny. He has to know.
I hope so.
Yeah, I hope so.
I hope so. There's one of them. I can't repeat it or whatever, but like the one reaction that always makes me laugh. Yo, I can't repeat it myself or whatever. I think he's like, what is it? It only takes a little white brainwashing.
And for the coon shit, I have to activate that coon shit.
Hey yo, thank you for that. I needed that laugh, yo. That shit is crazy, yo.
Did you ever see the one with him in the park, yo? Where he's out in the park?
Nah.
I gotta say you that, bro. This shit is so funny.
What
like
he's
talking, and he just stops and he's looking like, and he's like, I see some Caucasians over there. I thought they was coming to see what's up with the prince. I might have to pump the shotty. I'm like,
yo, hold up, your whole like message goes from one thing to the other. Like you,
yeah.
Oh my god.
Yo, but the coon chip is one of the funniest ones.
That's yo. Oh my god, I was crying when I read that. Yo, and they always post it right under the tweets of like Terry Crews, Doja Cat, any of them. Yo, like it's always that. Oh my god, yo. There's another one or whatever that I seen the video of like if you're a black man with a white wife, don't come around me. I don't need you or whatever. I'm like, oh shit.
Yo.
No, but like I said, I've watched some of his videos and I'm like, oh, well, you know what? That's true, actually. That's true. You know what I'm saying? But like you said, both can be true. You can be completely over the top and also, be spitting some real shit. Oh, my God. I'm so glad that you knew it. Because like I said, I wouldn't even, I can't repeat that. So it's like.
That shit's so funny, bro.
Well, thank you guys for, sticking with us. I felt like I wouldn't be able to, be on this platform without at least addressing this. I'm glad that I have someone like Trills on this where we can have an open discussion. And, like I said, we spoke about experiences that we've had together, experiences that you've had. In this time, again, I'll just leave it with just reflect on yourself. Just try to figure out how you can do a little bit better because we all can do better.
Yeah.
Trills, you still promoting the album and everything, right?
Yeah, man. Still promoting the album. We still have videos and all that coming. Couple of them.
Perfect. What you doing? You doing Young Akinelli or?
I think we're gonna do Let It Ring, Black Parade, and we're probably gonna do Why God.
When are you thinking about doing that? Like with everything that's going on, like is it soon or is it just like, like let's see how shit goes?
It's looking like by the end of this month, like maybe like the 27th or something.
I'm out.
We're assuming. Yeah.
I'm in there. I'm gonna be acting mad ignorant.
So yeah, man, that's what we up to. We put out 3 bonus tracks because we recorded a lot of work and we were like, we have a couple songs that won't roll over into the next project because I have like some wild ambitions for the next project. Excellent. So I was like, yeah, let's throw these out. So there's that too. All
right, perfect, man. And then, like I said, because it just feels weird to like promote stuff right now and just like,
yeah.
I'm trying to like tweet normal stuff, Yeah. Like, I joined TikTok. I joined TikTok. It happened. It's done. It's over with. I posted a video also. That shit is super hard. I am super lost. Someone please help me.
TikTok is a lot,
to like save the sound and like record. Like I'm floored. And what I've noticed when I've been on it, because I have gone down the rabbit hole of like finding sound bites of like all my favorite shit and like doing shit like that. But what I'm amazed at is that there's a lot of talented people on TikTok.
Oh yeah.
How they think about doing the comedy with, you know, either you're doing a lip sync and that's funny, like Sarah Cooper, who's a fucking legend. She's like the funniest person like in the world to me right now.
Yeah.
Or you know, they have the tweet behind them or a picture behind them, and they doing something like, you know, like it's there's a lot of creatives on TikTok.
Yeah.
I really noticed that, honestly. Like, while it is for the young people, the people that have mastered that shit are really in their bag, and I'm sure they're making some sort of money off of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just haven't figured this shit out. Whatever. I tried like one of the easiest ones. Like, we did the new parent challenge shit. Like, it just asked questions, and we were just like, we pointed this. I was like, learning all these fucking monologues to like do this shit and lip sync. It just sounds like a lot, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. So I don't have nothing to promote. You know, I just want to, you know, say thank you for anybody who's listening. You know, continue to stick with us. You know, again, disclaimer. I cannot have my own platform without being being oblivious and with not saying things. So that's just gonna be me. And I hope that you feel the same way. And I am willing to engage in conversation with anyone, provided that you come to the table respectful as I will. Mm-hmm. So, you know, thanks for listening, and we'll be back next week. You know, hopefully there's definitely some other stuff that we can come up with. Like, I saw, like, Biggie's album was 25 years old, like that the other day, and that's you know, I feel like that's something that we should touch on. Maybe we'll do a re-listen to Ready to Die.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, so we'll figure it out. We're back with normal content. We just had, you know, I felt like we needed to take that week because, one, I wanted to summarize the things that I wanted to say and articulate them properly.
Yeah.
And
so just, I mean, for a while it just didn't feel good.
It does not feel right. You know, sending normal tweets about the 49ers and stuff like that on my, like, it doesn't feel right. Like, even I had articles planned, and, you know, I understand that there's people that want to get away and stuff. I didn't feel right writing it in them shit. They could wait, whatever. Like, I can't, man. Like, I don't know. I didn't feel right, but we're back. So, you know, we're gonna continue from here. We just wanted to make sure that, you know, you guys understand, obviously, where we stand on it, so there's no assumptions or anything like that.
Yeah.
So, for Jay, Trills, we out here.